Jim Estes landed on Utah Beach on June 6, 1944, D-Day. He fought his way through Europe with the 22nd Infantry Regiment of the 4th Infantry Division.
So, where are you from, Jim?
I was raised in Giles County, Tennessee.
Okay.
That is about 60 miles south of Nashville.
And then, when did you finish high school?
I didn't.
Okay.
I was in the 8th grade and I joined the Army.
How old were you?
17, I think, or 18. My mother had to sign for me to get in. And
What made you join the Army?
what day was it?
No, he said, what made you join?
Well, I was farming. I told my mother I'd quit. I took the mules to the barn. The next day I went to Nashville and joined the Army. Me and my cousin. And he backed out, come home. And I stayed.
What year was this?
You joined in 41.
41.
19?
Yeah, I was I believe 18 or 19 years old. Because my mother had to sign me to go.
What made you decide on the Army compared to other branches?
Well, I liked the Army. With my education, I didn't think I'd get in the Navy. But I liked the Army, and I thought, of course, I liked it. I just said I knew some kids in the Army.
So where did you go for basic training?
Fort Benning, Georgia. Fort McClellan, Alabama. That's where I went from Nashville to Fort McClellan and took all my training right there.
What was that like?
Oh gosh, it's cold weather, and I done a lot of training in civilian clothes because they didn't give me any for several days there. But we trained for about 2 months, and they gave me a Springfield rifle. I remember that, with Cosmoline, and we didn't have nothing to clear the Cosmoline but hot water. And you can imagine what kind of job that was. And then from there, we'd went on maneuvers a time or two.
And where were you stationed when the war broke out? When we were bombed?
Fort Benning, Georgia.
Okay. What were you doing at that time?
We were still training too.
Okay.
Fort Benning.
And what was it like knowing that we were about to go to war?
Well, the night the war broke out, we loaded ammunition all night long because they wasn't sure what was going to happen.
And was there a lot of patriotism going on? You know.
Yeah, oh yeah. Everybody was wondering what was going to happen. They didn't. Well, they was worried about it, to tell you the truth. We was afraid they was coming. Didn't know they was loading ammunition.
So, when your training was done, where did your unit? Where were you attached?
Well, when we got through, we went to from Fort McClellan, Alabama, went to Fort Benning, Georgia. In the Hominid Church area. That's a new area just developed in Fort Benning. And we kept training. I was training on some vehicles. That's when they was debating whether they was going to drive Willis Jeep or a regular Jeep. And then the Willises didn't work out, so they said, so they went to the regular Jeep.
So, how did you make your way over to Europe?
Well, it went like this. From Fort Benning, Georgia, we moved from Fort Benning, Georgia to Fort Dix, New Jersey. We trained there for several months, Fort Dix, for 6 to 8 months. Then from Fort Dix, went back to Tallahassee, Florida for amphibious training. And then from there, from Tallahassee, we went near Sarasota, went up about 60 miles south to a naval base and really trained there for the water. And we was training shooting airplanes,
And you were in an infantry unit.
Yeah. Why we shooting in airplanes, I don't know, but that's what was part of in amphibious training. Mm-hmm. And from there, I don't know how long we was there. We was there for 2 or 3 months. We went back to New York to catch the boat. And that's where we left out, New York. We was in English ship that was converted, was in the swimming pool. They made bunks in it. And
What was that like?
they like to starve us to death. They fed us hard-boiled eggs and prunes. Oh, it was 21 days going across.
And then once you made it across in 21 days, I mean,
We landed in England, a little place, I believe Newton Abbot or something like that was the name of it. And we trained and trained there, and finally we went all over to the coast to get ready for the invasion. Then there, boy, I'm telling you, we was all hemmed up for several weeks waiting. It's all going crazy, to tell you the truth. I hope this is time. I hope this is ready to go. Well, you put a whole division, put them together, and you can't go nowhere. Couldn't get out. And so one morning I said this, we're gone. And everybody was tickled, glad. So we loaded up and floated all night. We had one of those balloons, I think, over the top of us, keep strafing. And we rode all night long. The gliders, they passed us all night, towing gliders for the invasion. And them big ships was sitting out there, shells going overhead, hitting those bunkers. Because the Germans had them bunkers there facing the water, concrete. And boy, the big shells would tore them things up. The Navy was firing them over our head all night. And when we got over 2 or 3 days later where those gliders landed, I didn't see a glider one tore all to pieces. And I know there was a lot of people on those gliders got killed. Because they had everything. Cannons and guns, and I don't know what all they had in them. I don't see how the airplanes was even towing them, tell you the truth, but they did. They flew all night long. You think I'm kidding you? And I didn't, I thought, when we got over there, this is the end of all of us. I think it wasn't going to happen to you, especially when he put us out in the water.
and this is on D-Day.
Yeah.
June 6,
On D-Day,
1944.
I went plumb down. I didn't hit the bottom, really hit the bottom, but I started shedding everything I had. And when I had a Mae West life jacket, that's where it did go off. And a bandolier and an M1 rifle around my neck. And I lost all of that, lost all of everything, ammunition and everything. But when I went down, my helmet got full of water and I couldn't come up. I had to take it off. Finally I did come up.
What beach were you on?
Utah.
Utah Beach.
Yeah.
And what was the scene? I mean, what?
There was a lot of, like I told somebody, there's a lot of bodies floating around out there because I could hear him with that barge hitting something, probably in the water. And I'd say that I don't know this, but a lot of those graves down there, I'm sure they got a body in it, but that ain't the right name on that, because there's too many of them. There's a lot of them. A lot of those big ships, see, they had to come in with the tide. If they didn't get it out unloaded before the tide, it sat there. And that's why a lot of those bodies went back out with the tide. And because there's a lot of them floating around there, I tell you the truth. And I thought I was going to be one of them. I thought I was going to drown, to tell you the truth. And if I had to shedded my equipment, I would have. I never got enough dry clothes. Finally, we did. Found a quartermaster that had got his some of the equipment off.
So, once you landed and made your way up the beach, were you in combat from the get-go?
Yeah, finally, I got with a company. It got out, and they went about a mile off a beach and bivouacked. And We dug in. I dug a foxhole. I guess it's one that hit 20 feet. It covered me up, showing up that deep. But I didn't know. I wasn't. And that night, the German shot some kind of funny smelling shell, like all of gas, which I didn't know. And I was about to smother to death. And I forgot to take the end off the mask. And I got to, you take that off, you can breathe. I was so excited. Of course, I thought it was gas. I didn't know. It did smell. It's a different smelling shell. But they was up, Germans up, shooting down on us.
They didn't know you was a mountain boy.
And they counterattacked that night. And I don't know how many of our people, there was 2 or 3 killed, and about 8 Germans were killed.
And then the next, you just kept moving forward and
You know,
with your
we
unit.
kind of got organized the next day. That was, everything was in a mess, to tell you the truth. Some of the companies, people and all got together, especially it was on different barges, see.
Now, which unit were you with?
I was with 22nd Infantry,
22nd?
4th Division.
Okay.
And of course, I was in service company, but sometimes we used other companies to fill out, if they didn't have a load to unload, they'd put other companies on because we're all about on the same boat. But when we left the port, we got, and then we transferred over on into these, down that, under the boats, and those, and it was, I know, I'd tell you the truth, I thought it, when I went down under that water, I thought this is all of it. This is, well, if I had got my equipment off the wood, I would have drowned it. Especially when I got upside down. When I got upside down, my helmet was holding me down. It had water in it. Lost everything I had.
So, a couple days after D-Day, y'all were making your way through France, or?
No, we're still at the back on the area there.
Okay.
Just trying to get all our equipment, all the companies together, because it's scattered everywhere. There was a lot of people there. And then when we did get them together, I don't remember, we took off, I don't remember where, to tell you the truth.
How, were you marching, or were you in a vehicle?
It was in vehicles.
Did y'all have food right away, or?
We had those rations. And that's what we had. We didn't have no cooks. Everything got sea rations. Well, see, we learned how to cook them pretty good. If you're hungry, they're good. And we've done.
And as you were going through Europe, how did the people in Europe treat the Americans? I mean, did they cheer for you, or?
Tell you the truth, a lot of those Germans hated Hitler as bad as we did, because he took everything they had. We built back in some of their houses, and they didn't. The barn and the house was built together. The barn was built on the house. You step out of the kitchen, step in the barn, and them houses just as clean as they could be. But the Germans, they killed all their cows, all their hogs, and then no chickens. They'd kill it, they'd eat everything they had. And most of them Germans who captured them, they had a big, tough loaf of bread. It had a thick thing it would keep. That's all they had to eat. Let's just eat some of the farmers what he had. And you'd go there and you'd see a big, looked like a haystack. You know what was on it? Turnips. Covered with manure. That's all they had to eat. Turnips. And you know that they come back over or something and gave me that sand from Utah Beach. And they invited us back over. Of course, I'll never go back.
Were you ever injured?
No.
What about any shrapnel?
Here, right here, I would. But they told me that night, said, you're going home. I had enough points to get out. You're going home. And they didn't tell me they was gonna ship me to another. They shipped me to another 395th Infantry I didn't know nothing about. And I was with them for a month and a half. And I thought I was going home the next day. That's the reason I didn't do nothing to this. I said, I'm going home, I don't bother.
What other battles were you, or campaigns were you in? Were you in the Battle of the Bulge?
Battle of the Bulge, that's where I got hit.
Okay.
And we was in Hurricane Forest 2 weeks trying to get through there.
What was the weather like?
Well, it's cold, it snowed over there. But the Germans was in there, they had, well, they had built a few lean-tos there. It wasn't bad, it was, that's when we all had to eat sea rations because you couldn't get the food in there to them.
How did you stay warm?
Just get all the clothes. I had, sometime we had Cosaline britches. That's in case they shot gas at us, you know. And, no showers. But we had to do the best we could do. That's when I thought, well, we're gone. But I was more scared, to tell you the truth, the Battle of the Bulge, than I was D-Day. Because Hitler was doing all good. If he could have got more gas, I'll guarantee we'd have had a bigger job. He was out of fuel. The first jet airplane I seen come over us over there. And I'd never seen one and nobody else had her. It just come over, gone.
Did you have a lot of buddies that you were serving with?
Some of my good buddies, the one I told you about, was this farmhouse, and he was watching the door, and I was checking the piano, and that shell hit above the door. His name was Spud. Everybody had a nickname. I was Tennessee Hillbilly.
How did you get that nickname?
Because I was from Tennessee. And he was from Idaho. That's why they call him Spud.
Okay.
But, and that wasn't much of him left.
Was that hard to?
Yeah, he was a good friend. I can still see him sometime.
So, as you're in the Battle of the Bulge, and it's cold, and
Yeah,
the enemy's tough.
it was tough. They tell you the truth, they was doing a good job there for a while. I was afraid that something was going to happen, sure enough. Because he just run out of fuel.
Okay.
He got the fuel.
Did your unit ever have any time off or any breaks in fighting?
I don't remember if we did. We was always lookout. Them Germans, them 80 them shells is what you had what. Them you could hear, you didn't worry. You worried about them you didn't hear. If you heard one, they didn't miss you. But if the one you didn't hear is the one that got you.
What kind of weapon did you use?
I had a VAR and an M1 rifle.
Okay.
Of course, I lost the one I had, but there was a lot of them there. I could have got any of them. I shot a bazooka some. That's what hurt my ears, to tell you the truth.
The bazooka.
They made a heck of a racket. But the worst place was the one where they had to bluff to get over.
The bluff.
We just kind of walked in. But where the bluff was, you know, they couldn't get up that thing without getting a lot of them killed. But they had those big bunkers out there with concrete with big face in the ocean.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'll tell you what, the Navy sent them big shells in there and put some of them out of business. When I got hit there, they said, well, you going home tomorrow? And I said, well, that's good. I just hit right there and I was bleeding some. I said, good. I just put a rag around it.
What
Since I was going home tomorrow.
do you
But
think?
they didn't tell me I was going to go to another company and stay 2 months. before I got to come home.
So you never got a Purple Heart,
No.
but you got shrapnel in your arm.
Yeah, I got a piece. I'm gonna get it took out. Riser's gonna take it out. It made a blue mark up through there. But that's
So
the whole thing.
what hit you? I mean, was it a
It's a
mortar?
tree burst.
Yeah.
That's the kind you had to watch. It hit the tree and it spread out everywhere. It get you if it's in a foxhole and one covered deep. Like I said, them that you could hear, you wouldn't bother them. But them you didn't hear is the one you better look out for. And they had some good 88s too. Their 88s would go right through our tanks.
Wow.
And our tanks, the shells wouldn't touch them.
So after the Battle of the Bulge, where did your unit? Where did
Battle
you
of the Bulge,
Yeah, after the Battle of the Bulge.
I went to 395th Infantry.
Okay.
Yeah, and I didn't know a thing in the world about them. And then they won't know if I wanted to really list. I said no. I was afraid I was going to have to go to somewhere and fight. But the war was all over as I started home.
How did that make you feel?
Good. But you know, they discharged me in Indiana. And a lot of boys from up north, they discharged them in Tullahoma, Tennessee. There I was. Tullahoma, Tennessee was about 40 miles from where I lived. And I had to come to Indiana.
And how did you get back to America?
I come back on an American ship from 395th, brought me back. So it took 7 days to come back, 14 to go over. Come back on an American ship, good food, water just as clear as I could have rowed back.
And what was how did all of you guys feel? Just
I was the only one out of my company that's come back because I had enough points to get out. It's more of them got out later, but I called Stanley Joyner, who was in Memphis. Of course, he done passed away. Called another boy, Paul, was in Atlanta. He's passed away. Of course, I'm still here. And a lot of my good buddies are gone.
How old are you now?
93.
93.
93 in August.
Huh?
Be 93 in August.
Yeah.
So what else do you remember about being in uniform and fighting for your country?
Well, I'm glad I was there fighting, tell you, because I think I might have done my part, not much, but I was there. That's the main thing. I know that when the war broke out that night, they thought the Japan will load of ammunition all night. I didn't know what to expect. I see it's all on. Maybe they're coming today. I don't know. I was young, inexperienced.
Did you have any brothers
I had a brother. He was in Europe.
at the same
No,
time?
he was in the South Pacific.
Was
Now, which year
Joe.
was he wasn't there?
Yeah.
Was he a Marine?
Huh?
Was he a Marine or in the Navy?
He was in the Air Force.
Air Force, okay.
Yeah.
I knew he was in the Army.
was he there at the same time you were?
No, he was in Japan, and
Okay.
I was in Europe.
Okay. Did you ever communicate with him?
No, I never did see him till the war was over.
He was a year and a half older than Daddy. Right
Okay.
at.
Of course, he died last year.
Okay.
He was 18 months older than me.
So you're back in Indiana, and how do you get processed out? How did they do that back then?
Well, they want to know if let's see, how they do Hailberry in there. What they done, they gave me, I believe, $300 or $200, I forgot what it was, and a bus ticket to where I lived. And that's all. I didn't say nothing about re-enlisted or nothing to them.
Tell me about some of your medals.
I got them right there.
Well, you got the Combat Infantryman's badge
Yeah.
and
They
bronze.
mailed all that stuff to me. I didn't I didn't have any when I left. They didn't give me any.
And Bronze Star?
Bronze Star. It was all mailed to me. I thought we were supposed to have one of these things going around your arm, but I never did get it. Said if you didn't write them, I didn't. I wasn't able to. If they want to give me one, fine, but they don't. That's about it.
Have you been back to Europe?
No.
No.
I had a chance to go back, and she didn't want me to go back.
You seen enough of it?
I did go to, and went to Chicago on this flight. That was
Washington,
nice.
You went to Honor Air.
Yeah, all
DC.
right. Yeah.
And what did
went to
you?
Washington
And
DC.
she was our guard.
Good. What did you
She was
think?
our manager.
What did you think of that trip?
It was just like sitting in this chair with it.
It's awesome.
And they
Fed us going and a coming. But you know, they checked us better out here at the airport going. We got back to Washington. Come on through. They didn't check us for nothing, did they? Made you take your shoes off.
And every one of them walked right on through.
and the American people, knowing that you're on this Honor Air trip, how did they treat you?
Or when we got back,
No, going to Washington D.C.
oh gosh, water squirting over that airplane. And it took us 30 minutes to get off the airplane after we got back to the base out here.
A lot of people at the
The
airport.
band was playing and the water was squirting and
They had
all the neighbors, you couldn't hardly get through there. We had
Navy, Army, all kinds of branches of the military at Washington. When we got there, they walked out. It was amazing
but I was,
how much they welcomed them.
when I was in the water, I thought to myself, this is the end of me. This is the end.
Is that your most
Yeah.
memorable
That's-
experience?
Yeah. When I was down and I couldn't get seemed like the more I fought to try to get my head back up, I wasn't doing it. But after I got my helmet off and got the rifle from around my neck, but at May West, it's a waste thing on it. That's where it went off.
Did anyone in your group that you landed with on Utah Beach, did any of them get killed?
No.
No.
As far as I know, they didn't. We all managed to get out.
Did you hear the gunfire like we hear in the movies?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Constant.
Yeah. We floated out there and them ships fired all night long. You could hear them go, whoo, whoo, and hear them hit I couldn't hear anything. We didn't come in, the Germans shooting at us now. But we did hear them.
Did you know what to expect on D-Day?
No.
No.
I didn't know what to expect. I couldn't see the ships, but you could see the flash when they fired them.
Do you think all the training that you did in England, and you think all
Had to be some.
you did some good training?
I think the more you prepare for it, the better you are. That's my opinion.
Did you have good commanders or leaders in your unit?
We had one of the best company commanders you ever seen. He called me several different times, and he called me from Florida, and he passed away. He was a nice fella. He was from Ohio, and I had a first sergeant from Georgia.
Now, when you were in Europe, we see the movie The Band of Brothers. Did you feel that way with the people you served with, that you were brothers in arms?
I liked about all of my people.
You did?
I liked about all of them I served with, to tell you the truth. A lot of them was drafted 35 years old. And some of the boys that come in to replace them still had their bags. They didn't have a uniform, had civilian clothes on. That's how fast they was drafting. Of course, we was losing quite a bit of boys there at one time.
Okay. Who was Billy Cater? Captain Cater?
Yeah,
Who was that?
he was company commander one time.
Okay. What did you think of him?
I liked all our officers. I'll tell you what, sometime you get the rookie officer that's got out of school, he was willing to learn. And us who've been in combat a long time could teach him a whole lot. And most of them appreciated it.
Did you ever keep a diary while you were?
No, I had one, I lost it. My mother gave me a Bible that had a steel back on it. And when I got it all come apart. All I had was a piece of steel.
Did you read the Bible when you were?
Well, we'd have Sunday school classes every once in a while. A lot of them were Catholic. I didn't care whether the Catholic was, they still talk about the Lord. The Catholic had more to offer than some of the Protestants, to tell you the truth.
I asked if the guys that you served with, if you were like brothers, like a band of brothers.
Nobody ever got. Well, once in a while it would be. This is before we got into service, when it was training or hiking or something.
What did you do after the service?
When I got out of service,
Yes.
I went back to Louisville, Kentucky, got a job with my uncle, and then I had to go get a GED. Because I only went to the 8th grade, to tell you the truth. It was tough farming. I was farming. And I took the mules back to the barn, and I said, this is my last, it's yours. And next day I went to Nashville and joined. And I stayed right then. They sent me to Fort McClellan, Alabama, and start training. And that's where I never did go back and farm no more.
How long did you work in Louisville?
Huh?
How long did you work in Louisville?
When I got out of the Army, I went back to Louisville, Kentucky, worked with my uncle at a service station for 4 years.
Okay.
Then I was a pottery there, and I got a job with them. I was a sales representative.
I started to say you're forgetting about the pottery.
Yeah, I got a job with them, sales representative, and that's how I got the salesman in Knoxville. He passed away, and I got transferred to Knoxville myself. I couldn't find my house, and I moved to Maryville, and that's where I've been ever since.
So what did it feel like to be a World War II veteran as a civilian?
I don't know. My daddy was a World War I veteran, but he was an alcoholic. That's what a lot of veterans done. They turned alcoholics. I didn't. I used to drink. I don't tell you that, but I wasn't an alcoholic. Most alcoholics say I'm not an alcoholic, but they are. They have to have it every day. But that's been 20 years ago, and I haven't touched a drop of beer. I drank some Coca-Colas.
Well, good. Is there anything else you want to tell us about your military service?
No, that's we were in with a nice bunch of boys. Some of them was a little wild. They'd go to town. Maybe the MPs would bring them back. come in there and talk to them. Maybe put them on KP or put them, ground them for a week. Couldn't go out. But some of them, after they got back, all that time worked out, they go right back and do the same thing.
Honey, what was that little boy's name that was so wild?
Who?
The one y'all used to talk about so much. He was, I think you said he was from, I forget now, but he was the one that was always getting into y'all's things.
I don't know. I don't remember. But we had a good set of officers, young officers too. We had young officers willing to learn. A lot of them come out of the academy, they know more than anybody. But we had a good one. We had most of us from north, but we did have a lot of Alabama boys in our outfit. But like I told you, I went to Fort McClellan. I was going to join the paratroopers, and me and this boy. And I seen that big tire, raise that tire up, turn that chute loose and slow down. Oh boy, I don't want it. I wouldn't take it. But you know what? As we was coming out, the landing, Normandy D-Day, he come out, he joined. Herman Garner was his name. And I'll tell you something else.
No. That Alcorn Garden.
I never seen as many paratroopers hanging in trees, shot. But I didn't see a paratrooper bringing a prisoner out after they seen all their buddies in trees that didn't land. They didn't take no prisoners. I can see why, but I never told people, but they didn't have no prisoners.
Well, thank you so much, Jim, for
I enjoyed
sharing your
it,
story.
Yeah.
but like I said, I'm pretty lucky to be here.
Yep.
After
You're
Very.
blessed, you're not lucky,
Do
you're blessed.
do you remember Tater's real name?
who?
Tater?
Tater.
Yeah, your Spud? Do you remember what his real name
No, that's all
was?
I knew him about, Spud.
Spud?
Because he was from Idaho. He's the one who was on the porch when the shell went off. And I was back checking piano to see if them Germans would booby trap pianos. Because the first time you pick that thing, it'd blow all to pieces.
That's what I was going to ask you.
Well, thank
Spud, that's all I knew him about.